understand I ain't got a lot, but it's us against whatever, babe.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are Velocities in Music VIMTV. Today we're going to review a new artist. His first album, this is a British hip-hop artist who's brand new on the scene. His name's Ghostpoet. His first LP, his first full-length, is called Peanut Butter Blues and Melancholy Jam. I'm not a big fan of the album title. It's kind of cute and creative, but I don't think it really goes to serve what Ghostpoet's all about. Now, for those of you who think that Tom and I agree a lot, I'm glad that you continue to watch us, because every once in a while you'll get these albums that come along that where Tom and I will just completely disagree, and typically what happens is I love it and you hate it.
That does happen sometimes.
And today it's going to be polar opposite. This is probably going to go down as one of the biggest disagreements, which the fact that it's a new artist means that that's super cool. Without further ado, since I'm the one, I think, who doesn't like this album, Tom, why don't you tell everybody what you liked about Peanut Butter Blues and Melancholy Jam?
I love the mood. I love the originality of the sound. I mean, this guy, it's rap, it's hip-hop. You know, he's got that kind of slurred British accent to him, you know, that you might get from like Dizzy Rascal or some Tricky stuff. Also, I mean, the production, the beat sounds a lot like Tricky, I'd say. But also like Mos Def, kind of the odd, kind of offbeat, rhythmic vocal devices of Mos Def that you might get. But to tell you the truth, I like all the songs on here. I think that it's still a little small scale. I mean, it's 10 tracks. The tracks on average are pretty short. I think one thing he could have done to make this sound a little better is add something in there, whether it's like a really epic track to kind of set it apart from the hip-hop standards. I mean, he's already kind of doing that in his production style anyways. Or, you know, just... I felt like he could have done a little more to make it just a little grander of an album. But still, I love the originality. I love the vibe and the attitude I get from this. I mean, kind of like what I was saying, I really liked Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon 2, The Legend of Mr. Rager. I love when hip-hop artists aren't just egotistical, they're introspective, and there's little spots of confidence, but they don't overflow into being egotistical. They're just kind of nice and short. I like that also he mixes it up with doing, you know, some kind of faster stuff with some kind of slower stuff. I actually think that his name really fits his style, Ghostpoet, because sometimes you feel like he's just kind of slowly spitting poetry over these beats, and then sometimes he'll speed it up, sometimes he'll slow it down.
Well, just the name Ghostpoet kind of evokes a mood.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ghostpoet's music is very moody, and the production around it it complements that very well. And those are two of the aspects of the sound that I really liked. And then the other one was the content. The lyrics were actually quite good, and I found that Ghostpoet actually was. You know, has a very positive message and brings a lot of things to the table that you don't find in modern hip-hop. And I agree with a lot of the things that Tom said, but I just, you know, as I kept listening, I kept liking this less and less, and as I dug deeper, I kind of figured out why I didn't like it personally, and it all comes down to this fundamental belief that I have that all music, no matter what genre, what style, it all comes down that songwriting is present on all styles. It takes different forms, and its purpose is different, especially when you're comparing something to like prog rock and hip-hop. Obviously, songwriting is going to be completely different, but even on hip-hop, it's present. And here in this album, I feel like Ghostpoet really just doesn't have his chops yet as far as a songwriter is concerned. I feel like a lot of these songs are in just A-B format. Justin Bieber does that too. Now, and here's the deal. The verses in rap are what it's all about, you know? You want to hear that flow, that you want to hear the vocal delivery, the rhythmic delivery. That's what you're looking for, on top of having good, witty lyrics that you can relate to. And so the lyrics are there. I just don't feel like, in the verses, I feel like more times than not, I'm down with what Ghostpoet's doing, but it's the choruses. And it's not every song, you know, Tom, you and I were just talking about how some of the choruses on tracks like Survive It or Us Against Whatever are just fantastic and needed hooks in the song. And sometimes it's just Ghostpoet just kind of mumbling and talking in his British accent, and it adds zero value to the song. And so you have this idea that's present, and keep in mind, when all this is going on, you have some really cool production and mood atmosphere being created. And then so you have this idea that's present, and then it just kind of fizzles out. The whole thing just kind of just stops, and then a new song will begin, and the whole process starts over. And I never feel like he really connects these songs. I never really feel like he builds upon these ideas. I feel like they're just kind of these ideas that just were kind of unfinished and just underwritten. Yeah. And I feel like over time, he could develop into a better songwriter, but it kind of bothered me. So that, the displacement, and then I kind of, the whole, you know, I know that Tom noted that he likes this, so this is more of a personal preference thing, but the whole two different styles of vocal delivery, I'm not a fan of. I would prefer that he's stuck with one or the other, especially when it's within one song, when he switches within maybe even a verse, switching from a fast delivery style to a slow delivery style. I find it a little distracting, especially when the focus of most of these songs is the mood and atmosphere.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense because, and by the way, I totally agree that I think expansion is one thing this album does need.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's, while I still really like it, it's one thing that's holding me back a bit. However, one thing that I think is just a stylistic aspect that you're either going to like or not like is the fact that this is that British hip-hop sound where you almost, I mean, the vocalist almost sounds like he's speaking in this drunken slur.
Yeah.
You know,
it's true.
That, I mean, you're either going to like it or not. I know that, you know, we disagreed a lot on Most Def's The Ecstatic.
Right.
And I think for probably a lot of the same reasons here.
Right.
I liked that album and Jake didn't, and that's just kind of the way it was.
Yeah, and it comes down to a lot of the start-stopping here. And I won't lie, the accent bothered me a little bit, but I tried to put that aside and really just go after the fact that, you know, he's starting and stopping on the same time, and it's distracting me from really appreciating the music. On top of that, every once in a while, he'll try to sing, and I just don't feel like it's up to par yet. I feel like there's a lot of really good aspects about Ghostpoet's sound that he's presenting on this debut album, but it's just not quite there yet. And I think that over time, we'll see, hopefully, subsequent releases that really kind of expand on this. I mean, this guy has a lot of talent. It'd be something really cool to watch. So I don't want to say that I don't recommend this, but I just wasn't digging this at all. I know that you were. I'm feeling a 57, Tom. I know that's a low score, but that's where I'm at.
That's fine. You know what's great about this is even though we disagree, we can still be friends. And we can still get along. So all you people out there who are like, I have to pick one of you to hate now, just grow up. I'm going to give this an 80. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what this guy does next. And while it's definitely not perfect, it has its flaws. I think it's a strong debut album.
So what did you guys think about this album? If you haven't checked it out, please go out and find this one. Ghostpoet, we'd love to hear your feedback, especially since we disagreed. And I have a feeling more people will side with Tom than me, just because I'm pretty picky. And songwriting isn't really something most people look for in hip-hop, but it is something that I find always needs to be at least par. Otherwise, it bugs the hell out of me, and it did on this one. But I can't wait to see what Ghostpoet does in the future. So what do you guys think? Leave us a comment at www.velocitiesinmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesinmusic. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.